You don't think that there's something to the fact that they blow all these leads against the Edmonton Oilers? It's like the Oilers could be down 4 goals and they come back like it's nothing.
We got a series now. I think this thing is going to reset, Scott. I think home ice advantage is going to hold true in this series. I think I told you that last week. I'm expecting this. I picked the Kings in 7 before the series started, and it's like plus 700.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
It's so crazy that you get both ends of that spectrum and the narrative trying to be correct in doing so and to make a statement for engagement. You're wrong, you've been wrong, and deal with the reality of the situation.
All of the people that analyze the draft mocked one in the first round, and even could he go to the Giants at number 3 or trade up back in that round. They got Gart, they didn't get Sanders, and the fall was on at that point.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to get a bunch of upsets. We're going to get a lot of craziness. Didn't happen as well. I mean, over the last calendar year, Sam, I don't ever recall 6 or 8 months of time in sports where the books lost, but here we are.
They estimate FanDuel and DraftKings lost $185 million combined for March Madness. So estimating not just that they didn't have a profitable March Madness, but it was a huge loss for them as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports Today, where the conversations off the air are as great as the conversations on the air. They all bleed together, and it's absolutely fantastic. We hope you're enjoying it as much as we are, folks. It's time now for 3 Up and 3 Down. If you're just joining us, this is FST Fantasy Sports Today. Matt Stryker, Joe Pisapia, Sam Y, the sports guy, and TD Jakes behind the glass. At SportsGrid and at SportsGrid TV are our social media handles. It's everything you need in order to dominate. Joey, 3 up and 3 down. I called you Joey. I'm sorry. I guess I can, maybe once.
Yeah, Joey P all the time during the week.
Right.
I put a blazer on so I get more professional on Sunday. That's it.
That's it. Once the blazer comes off, though, woo! All right.
Once the blazer comes off, that's it. Party. Let's go.
We were talking a lot about Aaron Judge, and for good reason. And I know that outside of New York, a lot of people may get sick of it, but this is still a wagering show and a wagering network, and it doesn't matter the name on the back of the jersey. What matters are the stats, and Aaron Judge is certainly a guy that we can wager on. Joe, you talked about before the break how most people will run to the home run. I was touching on his average over 362, and you were of 162, and you were saying run to the RBI prop, 162 RBIs over 162 games, simple math. Talk about what Aaron Judge has done so far here in 2025.
Well, look, 3 up and 3 down for the month of April. It's impossible not to put Aaron Judge at the top of it. Look at the numbers here. 10 home runs for the month of April, 32 ribbies, 29 runs scored, hit 427, a 521 OBP, a 761 slugging, a 1282 OPS. It's the highest mark, by the way. He's leading the league and on OPS. He's leading the league in batting average. He's just leading the league. He's just in another planet right now. But the problem is it's unsustainable, right? We all know this. This is baseball. There's going to be a cold streak for Aaron Judge. Things are going to regress at least a little bit at some point. He's not going to hit 400 all year. That just doesn't happen nowadays in Major League Baseball. But what do the Yankees look like when he stops hitting? That's my big question mark. That's my big problem. And the bigger issue I think the Yankees have right now is that they have to compete with the Red Sox, who have far more prospect capital than they do. Compete with some other teams that have a lot better players to move should they be inclined. We just mentioned Lawler, right? With the Diamondbacks, right? If you're looking out there and you're looking at the Yankee prospects and you're looking at Lawler or Roman Anthony or Marcelo Mayer, you're thinking, why am I making a deal with the Yankees? What are you getting me, Jason Dominguez, who's not hitting at all at the major leagues? Like, it's tough. It's really difficult right now if you're the Yankees to see your way out of this back of the rotation problem and back of the lineup problem. But the good news is there's time for guys to turn things around. Hopefully Cody Bellinger will. Hopefully Jazz Chisholm comes back healthy and maybe gets something out of Stanton at some point this season. But regardless, I think it makes Aaron Judge's performance in April even more impressive, that there really hasn't been, outside of a bunch of solo home runs, a lot of help for the New York Yankee offense outside of Aaron Judge.
All right, let's switch now. Hey, Joe, let me ask something. Do you remember a long time ago, and help me, because if I'm conflating this, that's going to be unfortunate. The Chicago White Sox had so many prospects. I mean, just all the way down the line. And then they made a few deals, and they sent some prospects away. And I'm going somewhere with this, and I hope you can pick it up for me.
Yeah, I think what you're looking for are Fernando Tatis acquisitions, I think is what you're saying. So I Googled it. I thought it was this person, and it was. In 2016, quite a while ago now, 2016, the San Diego Padres traded James Shields and cash to the White Sox in exchange for Eric Johnson and Fernando Tatis Jr. Well, that's worked out.
What was that?
Yeah, yeah. You can ask yourself. Fernando Tatis Jr. is the other guy I want to pop here for the month of April. Pete Alonso was real close, but I got to give it by an edge to Fernando Tatis Jr. And hopefully he can get a full 6-month season healthy, because look how good this guy was in April. Fernando Tatis Jr. absolutely crushing baseballs. 8 homers, 18 RBI, 7 stolen bases, a 345 batting average, a 409 OBP, a slugging percentage of 602, and an OPS over 1,000. This is why the Padres are where they are, and it's great to see Fernando Tatis Jr. healthy, focused on the field. Now we need it times 5 more months, okay? Because we've seen stretches before, and he is one of the biggest T's in all of fantasy baseball, right? He is a guy that we know he could be a top 3 player if he stays on the field, if he's healthy, if he's motivated. And it's been hard to get all of those things together at the same time and harness them. Maybe we're finally getting that. Maybe with time and maturity, we're finding that. And if so, Fernando Tatis Jr. is going to win a lot of people, a lot of fantasy leagues this year. Can he sustain this productivity? Probably not. It's going to come down a little bit soon. But I think you feel very good with what you've seen so far. The power, the speed. We're talking about a guy who looks like a 30-30 kind of player, maybe even room for more. That's very exciting. So great to see, very encouraging. Now we need to see it the rest of a full season to get really excited about Tatis being a top 5 pick next year.
Yeah, you said something in there, as you often do, time and maturity. And I think if we can petition the executives, can we change the name of the show? Time and Maturity with Matt and Joe. I just think it's absolutely perfect. Time and maturity is something that the Dodgers need, especially for their pitching staff. But Yoshinobu Yamamoto has been fantastic over 6 games. Talk to me.
Yeah, Yamamoto has been the glue that's held this Dodger rotation together. That ERA after yesterday is now below 1. So going in through April stats, it was at 106. The whip was at 1 over his first 6 games, 43 strikeouts, 11 walks in the month of April. So he was the best pitcher in baseball in April. Is he going to pitch to a 1 ERA? Of course not. Am I looking to sell him off? Absolutely no. So you're holding Yamamoto and you're just really excited that you have him. But I do have a big question here, which is, how does Yamamoto look when we get to August, right? Because last year we didn't get a full season of him. And by July, do we get Glasnow, Snell, Yamamoto, all there, all pitching well? That West is super competitive. We talked about the Arizona Diamondbacks and their potential to score runs, right? How good they are offensively, how they create runs. They just got Ketel Marte back. This lineup is serious, right? Then on top of which, you've got Gallen, who looks like he's turning things around. You got Corbin Burns at the top of his rotation. Like, you got a lot to handle there. The Padres have Tatis and some really good pitching there, right? Pavetta's been brilliant. Michael King, Cecil, I think, will turn things around. The Giants so far have been extremely competitive with Logan Webb at the top of that rotation. And they've got 3 kids at AAA right now who are dealing, one of which is Kyle Harrison, who, we've seen before make some moves in that rotation. So they've got depth if they have injuries to their starters. So I think the West is going to continue to be competitive, and the Dodgers better realize that, they have to stay healthy here. I'm not saying they're going to miss the playoffs, but I'm saying that the Dodgers certainly need to find some solutions here. Tony Gonsolin, that's fun. Like, it's great that he came back, But man, oh man, like I'm still in the back of my mind very worried if you don't have Snell, if you don't have Glass now for a long stretch, what the Dodger win total looks like.
All right, with the time that we have left, let's trash some guys. No, I'm just kidding. But let's take a look at some three players, if we have time, that are just not doing so well. Let's start in Miami with a starting pitcher who I don't think is going to be wearing a Marlins jersey come August. But Joe, take it away.
Yeah, but it's hard to move a guy with an 8 ERA, and Sandy Alcantara has that now. And I'll take an L so far because Sandy was one of my guys going into the year. 19 strikeouts, 17 walks. It's the feel for pitching he doesn't have. Velocity's fine. Everything's fine. He and Tommy John, they always say, like, the last thing to come back is that feel for pitching and location. And he's a location guy. He's not a guy that's blowing you away with 100-mile-an-hour stuff. It never has been. So that's the problem with Sandy Alcantara. I would be buying him everywhere. But the problem is the Marlins can't really trade him anywhere right now. Ryan McMahon, awful. 2025 stats in April, hitting 147 with a 508 OPS. He's been terrible. Hopefully he's turning things around. He had another home run this weekend, but he has been dreadful for the Rockies. And possibly one of the biggest disappointments in fantasy, Marcus Semien. The Rangers have struggled, but nobody has struggled like Marcus Semien. He has a 503 OPS in the month of April, a 182 batting average. Jake Berger, his teammate, got sent down. He was so bad. The Rangers lineup needs to pick up things fast because they are in trouble. Eventually, the Houston Astros are going to get Arrighetti back. Alvarez will get healthy and start hitting. And once again, the Astros will flip the switch and go past everybody. So just keep an eye. Now's the time to bet on the Astros for that division, folks. We'll be back with more FST after this.
You don't think that there's something to the fact that they blow all these leads against the Edmonton Oilers? It's like the Oilers can be down 4 goals and they come back like it's nothing.
We got a series now. I think this thing is going to reset, Scott. I think home ice advantage is going to hold true in this series. I think I told you that last week. I'm expecting this. I picked the Kings in 7 before the series started, and it's like plus 700.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
It's so crazy that you get both ends of that spectrum, and the narrative trying to be correct in doing so and to make a statement for engagement. You're wrong, you've been wrong, and deal with the reality of the situation.
All of the people that analyze the draft mock one in the first round, and even could he go to the Giants at number 3 or trade up back in that round. They got Dart, they didn't get Sanders, and the fall was on at that point.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to get a bunch of upsets. We're going to get a lot of craziness. Didn't happen as well. I mean, over the last calendar year, Sam, I don't ever recall 6 or 8 months of time in sports where the books lost, but here we are.
They estimate FanDuel and DraftKings lost $185 million combined for March Madness. So estimating not just that they didn't have a profitable March Madness, but it was a huge loss for them as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports today. Matt and Joe with you here, and the answer to the oft-asked question is: how can you not be romantic about baseball? You just can't. You just can't. During the break, Joe was rattling off some just not so old-time names, but just names from maybe 10, 20, 30 years ago, dare I say. And it seems so close and yet so far. But I think it speaks to the fact, and we're setting up a segment here, the pitching has really changed in the game, and it's time to look at some two-start pitchers for those of you that are in leagues that are applicable. But this also pertains to DFS. This also pertains to straight-up wagering as well. Thinking about a pitcher on the second of two starts, depending on where they are, you might want to think about how to tackle that. Let's go to Cincinnati and talk about Andrew Abbott. He has 2 road starts against Atlanta and Houston, respectively. Joe, your thoughts on Andrew Abbott as a two-start pitcher for this week?
Well, Cincinnati is that all or nothing team, right? That's what they've become so far, at least in 2025. There's opportunity there for them to grow into more, and Abbott's been pretty solid this year. 19 innings, 23 strikeouts. He's given up just 12 hits in those 19 innings. So that's been the secret sauce. He's 2-0 over 4 starts, but it's the fact that he hasn't given up a lot of hits. The whip is at 1.26, which is, about, where you'd want him to be, and then a 2.84 ERA. Again, it's a small sample size, but it's been a good sample size. He's going against Atlanta and Houston. Now, those are 2 lineups that are typically pretty good, but I don't know if they're clicking on all cylinders. Alvarez has been dealing with an injury, right, in Houston. They got bailed out yesterday by their 9-hitter, Jake Myers, who had a bunch of home runs. So they haven't necessarily been, clicking on all cylinders. And the Atlanta Braves a little up and down as well. Now, considering he's going against Blanco and Smith-Shawver, I think I would throw Andrew Abbott out there. I think he's been solid enough, and you hope that he comes away maybe with 1 win of these 2 and gives you a quality start and is competitive in both these games. They're both on the road. That's the one thing that you got to wonder about. Okay, road starts are always more difficult, right? But at the same time, I think Andrew Abbott on 2-start week, I would take my chances. He's been solid enough. Matt, would you feel comfortable with him on the road for these 2 starts against the Braves and the Houston Astros?
So I'm going to walk you through how I approach this. First thing I do is look at the handedness of Andrew Abbott. I realize he's a left-handed pitcher. I immediately want to see how do Atlanta and Houston stack up against left-handed pitching. Quick little search, a few filters, and I see that Atlanta and Houston are both horrible against left-handed pitching, at or near the top for both teams. So I'm going to attack Abbott here, and I'm going to attack these. Although they're road starts, I'm going to attack the handedness. But keep in mind, the handedness could only matter for 5 or 6 innings, but quality start might be all I need. So yeah, I'm on board. All right, let's keep moving here. The Los Angeles Dodgers, Tony Gonsolin, 2 road starts against Joe's favorite pitcher, TBA at Miami, and then Zach Gallen at Arizona. Home. No, it's at Arizona, pardon me. So Zach Gallen at Arizona and Miami for Tony Gonsolin. You mentioned Gallen turning things around here, but Arizona's offense is still really tough. Would you wager Gonsolin just for the Miami start?
I think alone. Look, the Dodgers always have a chance to beat everybody, right? And I think that's. I don't know if we're going to get 9 strikeout performances for Tony Gonsolin every time out. I think that was a little bit of an anomaly. He's a fun pitcher. He's 6'3", 205. He's what they look like. In terms of starting pitcher in the major leagues. 6 innings, 6 hits. His first start back, it was very good. Would I take him against the Marlins just for that start? Yes, and then hope that. Maybe you get bad Zach Gallen to come back again. Gallen has been up and down so far this year, but that is a tough offense. The Dodgers are up for the competitive nature of that game. So I think you start him for the Marlins, and anything he gives you bonus-wise in Arizona is awesome. But I can't not start him in a weekly league just because, well, what if the Arizona Diamondbacks give him a hard time? I can't do that. That Marlins start is so tempting because that lineup it's a quad A lineup. Let's be honest. That's what they are. That's kind of what the Chicago White Sox are rolling out there, with the exception of, Luis Robert. So at this point, you have to take advantage of those opportunities when you have them, and you have one this week with Gonsolin. So he's already 70% rostered. I don't think he's floating around in most leagues, but if he's still floating around in a shallow league, that's the question. In a 10-team league, do you think Gonsolin is a guy that you want to stream this week, or would you just, stick with the guys you have?
It would all depend on if I have room. I mean, I have that in 2 of my leagues right now. There are so many names out there, but I just don't have room. I can't justify dropping this guy or that guy. But if Gonsolin, if you're in a 10-team league, first of all, those are fun. And if Gonsolin's floating around out there, then you've got to do your due diligence. And Joe, I think you'd speak about this just in writing the Fantasy Black Book as best player available, right? The NFL draft just came and went. And Joe, you went on and on about how certain teams had good drafts because of best player available. So to answer your question, if Gonsolin's floating around in a 10-team on a waiver wire, I think you owe it to yourself just to be a part of that Dodger offensive ecosystem. Another offensive ecosystem is the Boston Red Sox. And before the season started, you and I kind of whispered to each other off in a virtual corner, Lucas Giolito is on this team, Brian Bayo is on this team, a lot of people, Walker Buehler's on this team. So here's Lucas Giolito. He's got one against Texas and Nate Eovaldi, and then one on the road against Seth Lugo and the Kansas City Royals. Mind you, who's going to protect Bobby Witt? Would you be starting Gio in these two starts?
This is tough. The Texas lineup has been terrible, but Eovaldi is a very good pitcher, right? So the win probability there is difficult. Kansas City, you have Seth Lugo, who also is a very competitive pitcher, and that offense hasn't been great either. So it's kind of the same thing, copy and paste, where he's just got to outperform the other pitcher and pitch to these offenses that have been lackluster this year. I think it's a yes for me. It's right on the borderline, but to the credit of the Red Sox, this is why I like them. Once Garrett Cole went down, you saw the depth that they had in rotation, that they had injuries, and they have had injuries, right? Like, Cutter Crawford and Fitz have gotten hurt, right? You had Bayo, you had Giolito coming back, you had more depth. We have Tristan Casas getting hurt this weekend too. That's a problem. But the Red Sox have depth in this system to make up the deficits. And I think Giolito, I would take my shot here against Eovaldi and Texas and Kansas City, just because those two lineups have been really suspect. So all Giolito has to do is be competitive. And look, he's going to give you strikeouts. You know that. His first start back, solid 7 strikeouts in 6 innings, just 2 walks. That's a very good sign.
All right, Joe, we're going to stretch out here before the segment ends. Cade Povich for the Orioles on the road against Pablo Lopez, Minnesota, and Tyler Anderson at the Angels. You love the Orioles, don't you?
Well, that's the thing, man. It's like, I don't love Cade Povich and his 5 ERA, but man, it's tempting against Minnesota and Los Angeles. Those are two teams that are, have struggled. No Mike Trout in that lineup for the Angels potentially in that game. So I think this is a trap. I think I would stay away from it, but it is very tempting. So I'm just putting it out there. It's a trap start. Maybe just look elsewhere. Giolito over Povich for sure. We come back. We're going to take a look at some of the names that have been dropped recently. Should you be adding them to your fantasy teams? We'll tell you right after this.
You don't think that there's something to the fact that they blow all these leads against the Edmonton Oilers? It's like the Oilers could be down 4 goals and they come back like it's nothing.
We got a series now. I think this thing is going to reset, Scott. I think home ice advantage is going to hold true in this series. I think I told you that last week. I'm expecting this. I picked the Kings in 7 before the series started, and it's like plus 700.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Is so crazy that you get both ends of that spectrum, and the narrative trying to be correct in doing so and to make a statement for engagement. You're wrong, you've been wrong, and deal with the reality of the situation.
All of the people that analyze the draft, Mach 1 in the first round, and even could he go to the Giants at number 3 or trade up back in that round. They got Gart, they didn't get Sanders, and the fall was on at that point.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to get a bunch of upsets. We're going to get a lot of craziness. Didn't happen as well. I mean, over the last calendar year, Sam, I don't ever recall 6 or 8 months of time in sports where the books lost, but here we are.
They estimate FanDuel and DraftKings lost $185 million combined for March Madness. So estimating not just that they didn't have a profitable March Madness, but it was a huge loss for them as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports today. Matt and Joe with you here, part of a great team, just of folks here that love sports, and you can hear it and feel it in the conversations. Joey and I during the break just talking about batting averages and guys and just hitting, and it's just so much fun. And then you take that passion and you take it to the wagering world, and you have to be really careful. And I think everyone agrees to wager with your head, not with your heart. And I think the same thing applies when it comes to season-long fantasy, the waiver wire. Sometimes you see a name on the waiver wire, oh, so-and-so dropped someone, I'm going to go run and get him. Temper. But there are two names we want to talk about here that are the most dropped. One, I think, Joe, you'd advocate for people that if this guy is on their wire, they should go get him. So let's start there.
Yeah, Luis Rengifo, one of the most dropped guys. And I know it hasn't been the best start for him hitting 227, but remember, he didn't have a normal spring training. He was hurt. Rengifo, look, even if he gets a day off here and there, he's still a very good player. So far in the season, he's got 18 strikeouts in 31 games. He's just not seeing the ball well right now. But these guys are creatures of habit. And when you don't have the normal spring training, that normal pattern because you have injuries and you're coming back, guys tend to press a little bit. Guys aren't where they should be. Let's just dial it back 1 year to 2024. And in half a season there, 78 games, 6 homers, 24 stolen bases, hit 300 last year. So is he the guy who is hitting 227 right now? I don't think so. So I think Rengifo is one of these ones that you're going to regret. He qualifies at second. He qualifies at third. Kyron Paris has been a hot mess ever since that hot streak where, remember, we had that big conversation about Kyron Paris. Like, just because you work with Aaron Judge's hitting coach doesn't make you Aaron Judge, and he had a bunch of home runs one day. Like, it was crazy to me what was going on there. So Rengifo is going to play. Rengifo is part of this future of whatever the Angels are going to be, but I think it's kind of, I understand the lack of patience people have right now with Rengifo because there's other guys that have been out there that have been more productive, but at the same time, I do think you look at Rengifo as a player that if somebody dropped him in your league and you have bench depth, you stash him and you hope that he comes back. Another infielder that was also dropped this week in a lot of leagues was Jake Berger because he got sent down. He was hitting $172. I think he's much better than that. I think Jake Berger will be back at some point. So if you're in a deeper league and he was dropped, he qualifies at first, he qualifies at third. He's got 30 home run potential. I think he'll figure out whatever mechanically is wrong with him or whatever's happening there. I think it's Jake Berger's just a better player than what he's shown so far. So interesting move by the Rangers to send him down to get right. Hopefully he bounces back there. So keep an eye on him in the next week or so when he's in AAA, because I do think Berger will come back eventually and hit for the Rangers. But those are two guys that have been dropped in a lot of leagues that can really help you out, I think, in the long term of the season. And remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yep, absolutely. That is fantastic advice. All right, let's head out to Candlestick Park, particularly the bullpen, and talk about a most dropped player. And I think it's interesting because we often talk about the pitching staff and the lineup, but bullpens also aren't the same in, say, July as you'd see them in early May.
Yeah, Ryan Walker has struggled this year. He's got a 5 ERA. Now, he did get his 6th save yesterday, so they're still using him in that 9th inning. But you're seeing Camilo Doval work a lot more in the higher leverage situations, including some save situations as well. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Ryan Walker holds on to this job all year. I don't think he should be dropped, but at the same time, I'm not running to overpay to pick him up. If I'm desperate for saves, okay. But right now, if you're looking at the two, and we'll talk about this later, Camilo Doval is the guy that's available in most leagues. I think he's the guy worth speculating on because Ryan Walker just frankly hasn't pitched well. Now, yesterday he did. That's positive. So we're looking forward here. Maybe he can build on that. Maybe Ryan Walker is a guy you can acquire in a trade if you're desperate for saves, get somebody to throw him in there, and maybe he gets right. Last year was a strong season for Ryan Walker, but again, so far this year, it has not been. We've seen time and time again this season, the fading closers in our draft strategy has really worked out. Devin Williams bumped. Clase has been terrible. Ryan Walker has struggled, right? You can go on. And Bednar, right? Another guy that was sent down and came up. It's been crazy. If you just kind of waited and let saves come to you on the waiver wire, you picked up Jose Alvarado, you picked up Aroldis Chapman, you picked up a lot of guys that can be helpful to you. And there will continue to be more opportunities as the season goes on. Ryan Helsley is going to get dealt. Somebody else is going to close eventually for the Cardinals this year. So keep an eye out for more of those opportunities and start to speculate ahead of time on what those might be. And I'll say it again, just for, to get it on TV. The Rangers have an opportunity here. Luke Jackson is not the answer in the 9th inning. Kumar Rocker should be brought back as a closer. And if you do that, I think he could be a dominant closer and you get the most out of his innings, just like Mason Miller in the Athletics a couple years ago. Young pitcher with no innings in the tank, but a live fastball. Make him a closer. Give him clean ninth innings, and good things I think might happen. We come back, we're going to take a look at making some trades, buy low, sell high on FST when we return.
You don't think that there's something to the fact that they blow all these leads against the Edmonton Oilers? It's like the Oilers can be down 4 goals and they come back like it's nothing.
We got a series now. I think this thing is going to reset, Scott. I think home ice advantage is going to hold true in this series. I think I told you that last week. I'm expecting this. I picked the Kings in 7 before the series started, and it's like plus 700.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
It's so crazy that you get both ends of that spectrum and the narrative trying to be correct in doing so and to make a statement for engagement. You're wrong, you've been wrong, and deal with the reality of the situation.
All of the people that analyze the draft mocked one in the first round, and even could he go to the Giants at number 3 or trade up back in that round. They got Gart, they didn't get Sanders, and the fall was on at that point.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to get a bunch of upsets. We're going to get a lot of craziness. Didn't happen as well. I mean, over the last calendar year, Sam, I don't ever recall 6 or 8 months of time in sports where the books lost, but here we are.
They estimate FanDuel and DraftKings lost $185 million combined for March Madness. So estimating not just that they didn't have a profitable March Madness, but it was a huge loss for them as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports Today. This is where it starts to get fun. In the middle of hour 2, our producer pushes a button and says, have fun. And that's what we're going to do. That's my original score written here for this segment called Buy Low, Sell High. Which side of that equation do you think I'm on? All right, folks, it's time for buy Low, Sell High. It is what it sounds like. Thank you for the laughter in the control room and out there in the world. We start here, and it seems we do this every, Joe, we've been doing this show for 5 years. Thank you, God. Thank you, SportsGrid. Every single April, we come around, and then in the beginning of May, we say, you know who's a great buy low? This great player on the Seattle Mariners, who happen to be the best team in the American League currently with the Detroit Tigers. Take it away, Julio Rodriguez. I'm shocked. He had a cold April. What should we do?
April Julio is the worst Julio. It really is. He is the absolute worst when it comes to April baseball. His career April numbers. Here we go. 107 games in April and March. 227 batting average, a 654 OPS. It's just the worst. I mean, I don't know what else to say. He hates April. I don't know if he just hates April Seattle.
It's the morning for baseball players. Some people aren't morning people. Some ball players are not April, May ball players. It's just how it goes. And the quicker we all learn this, the better we all
from being a superstar.
Wagering. Go ahead.
But this is what keeps him from being a superstar, right? Because you can't be a superstar player and not put 6 good months together. Like, you just can't.
Okay.
It's really difficult. Now, here's the fun fact is that summer is coming, right, for Julio, and that's a good thing. So his career numbers in the first half, you ready for this, folks? This is over 307 first half games, a 258 batting average, and a 735 OPS. That's not great, right? We don't love that. career second half. Well, the batting average goes from 258 to 300, and the OPS, Matt, goes from 735 to 903.
I'll take it.
903.
I'll take that.
So this is the time. This is the time to buy Julio Rodriguez. You shouldn't draft Julio if you're not patient enough to wait through the bad April and sometimes part of May. Eventually, he does hit. Why it takes him so long, I don't know. I remember Mark Teixeira was like this too. He was a guy that was always dreadful in April every single year that would turn things around. But Julio Rodriguez, this is your window. It's going to be gone in a couple weeks, so take advantage of it while you have it. But come correct here. You got to make a big move here. He's still going to a guy that warrants big draft capital every year. So people are not going to want to get rid of him, but they are going to be frustrated with him, and rightfully so, because so far this year, we're right where we are every single April, which is disappointing. And I think that is the big problem we have. Now, the good news is he does have 5 home runs, 16 RBI, and 5 stolen bases, but he is hitting 209, and that's not where you want him to be if you're a fantasy manager who drafted him with a first-round pick.
All right, I like it. That one right there had a pregnant pause, as we call it, because it's some impactful statements. Joe, I got a question for you. Let's say I want to be a part of the Cincinnati Reds offensive ecosystem, but I missed out on Vlad Guerrero. Is there another way in?
There is. I was high on Matt McClain coming into the year, but Matt McClain has struggled a bit, and I think what makes sense there is that Matt McClain's struggles have been based on the fact that he really hasn't played baseball in a year at this level, right? So what's good about McClain is you're getting the counting stats, right? You got 4 homers, you got 5 steals, but he's hitting $160. That is brutal, right? He is not going to hit $160 the rest of the season. I don't anticipate him losing playing time. The manager absolutely loves him. He's talked glowingly about him. He is going to you look at the Savant page for him. The barrel rate is good. The hard hit rate is good. Like all of those things they're positive trends for Matt McClain. So he's an interesting buy low, and you can probably get him for next to nothing. And he has power. He has speed. Now, the wrinkle in here is it does get a little crowded if Noelvi Marte does continue to hit. Like, where's everybody going to play here? But I do still believe in the player. I just think we're looking at a spot where the guy missed all of last year, and it takes a while for all of those instincts to come back. The good news is the power and the speed is there, which means the athlete is there. Do I think he's going to hit 300? No. But if he hits 250 and gives me 25 homers and 25 steals, well, guess what? Like, that's a pretty good pace. I'll take that. So he's a little more forward thinking when it comes to Matt McClain. There's some good and some bad in the Baseball Savant page, but I'm just going to bet on the talent here that he eventually turns things around and starts hitting balls a little bit cleaner. And I think over time you are going to get that from him. It's just been a rough start to the season, and that sometimes happens for players like Matt McClain. I wish I could say there was good news. Like this week, he was great. He wasn't great this week. So you probably have another window here where you can get him for next to nothing. I think people might even drop him in some leagues in the shallower stuff. And I think that pounce, put him on your bench and see what happens.
Yeah, I like it. I also like that you mentioned Noelvi Marte, because if you do miss out on Dela Cruz and Matt McClain, that would be the next most popular name for fantasy managers to pivot. All right, it's time for the sell high portion of this segment here. Joe, one of the best things about working with you is that you have great insight into prospects. You work with and talk to people that are on the backfields, right? That's access that no one else can have. And you say that the Giants really have some stuff in the pipeline, and that might allow the Giants to make some moves. There's a sell high candidate here, a former Cy Young winner, high strikeout upside. Let's talk.
Yeah, Robbie Ray's strikeout upside has not been quite what it was, and it's still good. It's still 9.6 K per 9. That's still very good by Major League standards, but when you consider where it was in the past, which is 11.85, 11.54, it hasn't quite been, even last year, over the 7 games that he had, it was 12.62. It hasn't been there. What has been there, too, is the bad Robbie Ray who walks the ballpark. He is at 4.93 walks per 9. That is not good. You can't be efficient, walk that many guys. You can't walk almost 4 or 5 guys a game and expect to win a lot. His ERA is at 3.05, but the expected ERA is 3.75. The fielder independent pitching is 4.26, and the xFIP is at 4.16. So there's a lot of regression coming in Robbie Ray's stats right now. I would be looking to deal him. I dealt him for Marcelo Ozuna 2 weeks ago. So these moves can be out there for teams that are desperate for pitching, teams that have lost pitchers to IL. Robbie Ray looks pretty good on the surface right now, but the underlying metrics are troubling when it comes to Robbie Ray. And you mentioned some of those guys at AAA. Kyle Harrison, 3.46 ERA right now at AAA, 38 strikeouts, 8 walks. Carson Seymour, 3.09 ERA. Again, the PCL, that's impressive. 37 strikeouts, 15 walks. And Carson Wisenhunt has 31 strikeouts, just 5 walks on the year so far. He's been a little hittable, but still, those are 3 guys that you could see at any point in time filling in as Robbie Ray and Justin Verlander continue to kind of just toil away a little bit in that rotation.
Yeah, Joe and I were having fun with old-time fans will recognize that last name of Wisenhunt, right? We wonder if there's any relation.
Yeah.
We'll find out. All right, finally here, the Detroit Tigers. The time has come. Here they are, tied with Seattle as the best team in the American League. Been a wagerer's delight. Spencer Torkelson, huh? You're coming with Spencer Torkelson in a sell high? Why?
Well, I think with Torkelson, you always know the inevitable. There's going to be a drop off. There's going to be a streak here where he's good and a streak where he's bad. Now, the good news is the streak where he's been good has happened at the front of the season. So you start to feel a little bit more comfortable. He has so far on the year, 10 home runs. That's great. Like you're looking at like, okay, wow, 10 home runs, 27 RBI. That's terrific. But in April, if you start to strip away a little bit, some of those home runs came in March. So even if you start to look at just the April stats for him, they're not great. And it hasn't been great to start this weekend either. And I think when you're looking at Torkelson, you're seeing a player that's dropped off from 247 batting average, so far in some of these spots where now you're down in May in the first couple games to 167. You've seen the average decline. You've seen everything kind of going downward for Torkelson after a really torrid first week where he was just brilliant. He's kind of been living on those stats a little bit. And I think that's something to consider. Now, what's that market look like? Would you take Torkelson or Christian Walker rest of season? I'll take Christian Walker rest of season. And I think that's a deal that could be had if you're trying to swap guys, because people still see Torkelson as this prospect who's still coming up. The truth is Torkelson's been in the league for a while, and we've seen a lot of good and bad. Christian Walker is starting to pick things up a little bit in the last couple of weeks for the Houston Astros. I'd rather have Walker rest of season. And I think that's a swap that is imminently makeable. Also, speaking of swapping guys out, there's plenty of guys on the waiver wire you could trade out for players you have on your roster that are not getting the job done. And we come back, we're going to make those moves here on FST.
Think that there's something to the fact that they blow all these leads against the Edmonton Oilers? It's like the Oilers can be down 4 goals and they come back like it's nothing.
We got a series now. I think this thing is going to reset, Scott. I think home ice advantage is going to hold true in this series. I think I told you that last week. I'm expecting this. I picked the Kings in 7 before the series started, and it's like plus 700.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
It's so crazy that you get both ends of that spectrum and the narrative trying to be correct in doing so and to make a statement for engagement. You're wrong, you've been wrong, and deal with the reality of the situation.
All of the people that analyze the draft mocked one in the first round, and even could he go to the Giants at number 3 or trade up back in that round. They got Gart, they didn't get Sanders, and the fall was on at that point.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to get a bunch of upsets. We're going to get a lot of craziness. Didn't happen as well. I mean, over the last calendar year, Sam, I don't ever recall 6 or 8 months of time in sports where the books lost, but here we are.
They estimate FanDuel and DraftKings lost $185 million combined for March Madness. So estimating not just that they didn't have a profitable March Madness, but it was a huge loss for them as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports today. Matt and Joe with you here, having a great time. We hope you are as well. Quick reminder, at SportsGrid TV. Those are the social media handles. Make sure you're following along. Keep the conversation going, not only on this show, but all the great programs on this great network. It's time to attack the waiver wire. Season-long fantasy managers sit up a little bit, but also DFS and straight-up wagers have a listen as well. Here we go. We're going to start getting you into the Dodgers offensive ecosystem. Available in just over half the leagues is a Dodger outfielder. Joe, take it away.
Yeah, Andy Pages last year really jumped off the page to me in the playoffs. I really liked his approach. I like the player. He's strong. He's got power. You and I talked about it quite a bit. I remember last fall. It's like, I really like this Pages kid. And you know what? He's starting to really figure things out. He's a center fielder for the Los Angeles Dodgers, and that's a good place to be, hitting in this lineup. And if you look at what he's done over the last couple of games, too, he's really tearing it up. Over his last 6 games, he has 2 homers, 7 RBI. He's got 2 stolen bases hitting .346. So he is the hot waiver wire pickup. He is rostered at about 60% of leagues right now. So that has really jumped over the weekend. And I think it's something where you look, it was 44 on Friday, and now it's 60 as of Sunday morning. So It's made a huge jump. So get in if you can while you still can, because I do think Pages is a guy that is going to continue to be, I think, a huge contributor in fantasy. Will he hit 340? No. But I do think you're seeing the makings of one of the more underrated bats on the West Coast, right? Where, a lot of those East Coasters, they don't see a lot of these at-bats these kids take, a lot of these moments, right? Everyone's asleep, including me. But Pages stands out, and I think that's a guy that you could really circle and be aggressive on, because it's clear that he's getting scooped up in a lot of leagues, and with good reason. As you mentioned, Matt, great ecosystem, great opportunity, RBI, run scored, good lineup protection everywhere, and a spot where I think he's really kind of owned that position right now in center field for the Dodgers.
All right, great job as always. Let's move on now. And if you subscribe to the fade saves approach in drafts that Joe often speaks of, it's time to reap the rewards, Joe. There is a guy poised to take over a closer role. Doesn't officially have it yet, but we'll check roster resource during the break. And Closer Monkey, currently available in half the leagues. Who is it? Where is he?
Well, Camilo Doval did have the closer job once upon a time and pitched himself out of that role, and then Ryan Walker took it over. But it's very clear who's been the better pitcher this year, and it's been Camilo Doval. Now, he's rostered in about 50% of leagues coming into Sunday morning now. You're looking at 15 innings on the year, 10 strikeouts, 5 walks. He's only given up 6 hits in those 15 and 2/3 innings. He came in a high leverage situation yesterday in the 7th, but not the closer situation. So that's kind of a bummer. But I'd still be speculating here, because Ryan Walker's ERA is still 5, and Camilo Doval's is 1.72, and his whip is 0.70. So all the numbers are better for Doval. It's whether or not at some point Ryan Walker has another implosion, and if he does, then I think you might see them turn the page a little bit more to Doval. Doval is, got a few saves already this year, so it's more of a committee at this point, and it's about who you feel better in that role. And I think Doval's numbers have spoken for themselves, plus his history in that role. So Don't be shocked if he takes that role over again. And as Matt pointed out, what it's supposed to be in March is not always what it is in April, what it looks like. And then by the time we get to June, July, it looks completely different. So Doval could be one of those circumstances. If you need save help, he's the guy off the waiver wire right now to add.
All right. Speaking of different, I've got a Logan in Seattle, but it's a different one. It's not Gilbert. You have to move just a few letters earlier to get to an E. It's Logan Evans. Tell the world about Logan Evans.
Well, while Logan Gilbert is out on injury, Logan Evans is in this rotation. First start he made, 5 innings, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. We mentioned Emerson Hancock last week, too, as another streamer. He had a good start last week. None of those guys are going to blow you away, but if you're looking for live bodies, again, they can help you out, at least in the meantime. But I think the bigger underlying trouble here is if Seattle doesn't get Logan Gilbert back healthy this year at some point, do they start to fall out of things a little bit? I know Polanco has been out of his mind. I get it. It's been fun. I know they have a lot of pitching with Wu, and they hope to get Kirby back, and Bryce Miller's there. But Seattle is in a tenuous spot because Logan Gilbert is the straw that stirs the drink there. He is that guy. And if for some reason we don't get him back this year, I could see at some point Seattle being a sell team, and that is very frustrating. But they have a lot of pieces, including a piece like Polanco that I think the Yankees would want. Also, Luis Castillo, a piece that they were trying to get rid of already in this season. The Mariners might look at this and say, maybe this is not our year if Logan Gilbert comes away with a Tommy John or some kind of issue like that. Those are two players, Polanco and Castillo, that I think would fit the Yankees like a glove, and they would come hard after them. The question is, do they have what Seattle wants? But I'm not trying to write off Seattle right now. I know they played very well. I'm just saying you got to project ahead, and if you don't have Logan Gilbert, Logan Evans isn't the long-term answer and solution.
You know, seeing what Seattle has done the past few seasons, I'd expect them to stay in it to the bitter end before dealing with the hated New York Yankees. All right, Joe, there's a pitcher from Miami. He's available in half of the leagues, and he's getting ready to come, so let's talk.
Yeah, look, 2023, Yuri Perez was dazzling. 91 innings, 108 strikeouts, just 31 walks. He looked like the next big pitcher, right? And then Tommy John happened. He missed all of last season. Well, he's already starting his rehab last week. So he's got another rehab start this week. Hopefully we'll move him to 2 innings. So it's going to take a while to build up the arm strength. But there's going to be a path to this rotation. Edward Cabrera stinks. Outside of Max Meyer, I mean, nobody's really been good for this Marlins rotation. I know Weathers is going to get there faster than Yuri Perez. But there's going to be an opening for Yuri Perez eventually. Are they going to rush him? No. But I think it's very realistic to think by early June, maybe even late May, we could get him back. Late May would be very optimistic. But Yuri Perez still going to probably be a 5-inning pitcher this year. But those 5 innings are going to be magical because he's already showing you 98 miles an hour on the gun. He looks really healthy again. He's a young kid. So Yuri Perez is a stash right now before somebody else realizes that, oh, he's on the waiver wire. He went undrafted. Same thing with Shane Bieber in some leagues too. Both of those guys are going to contribute in the second half. If you're desperate for pitching, stash those guys now because either they're going to contribute to the rotation or they become trade chips at some point where people think they can contribute and you can get more immediate help. So either way, it's about building assets. Yuri Perez, Shane Bieber, 2 guys who could be back sooner than later. That's a good thing for your fantasy rotation, so add them now, get ahead of the curve. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the week ahead. What do we have our eyes on in the world of fantasy sports? We'll tell you right after this. Don't go anywhere.
You don't think that there's something to the fact that they blow all these leads against the Edmonton Oilers? It's like the Oilers can be down 4 goals and they come back like it's nothing.
We got a series now. I think this thing is going to reset, Scott. I think home ice advantage is going to hold true in this series. I think I told you that last week. I'm expecting this. I picked the Kings in 7 before the series started, and it's like plus 700.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
It's so crazy that you get both ends of that spectrum and the narrative trying to be correct in doing so and to make a statement for engagement. You're wrong, you've been wrong, and deal with the reality of the situation.
All of the people that analyze the draft mock 1 in the first round, and even could he go to the Giants at number 3 or trade up back in that round. They got Gart, they didn't get Sanders, and the fall was on at that point.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to get a bunch of upsets. We're going to get a lot of craziness. Didn't happen as well. I mean, over the last calendar year, Sam, I don't ever recall 6 or 8 months of time in sports where the books lost, but here we are.
They estimate FanDuel and DraftKings lost $185 million combined for March Madness. So estimating not just that they didn't have a profitable March Madness, but it was a huge loss for them as well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports Today. Matt Stryker and Joe Pisapia with you here. The reminder is at SportsGrid, at SportsGrid TV. Those are the social media handles. Stick around. More fantastic coverage coming up after this. If you're into making money on sports, baseball, this kind of stuff, trust me, you want to stick around. All right, Joe, it's time for the 1-2-3 inning, 3 and out. Here we go. There's 3 things that Joe's looking forward to for the coming week. And it begins for me and you with a certain team that's getting some pitching help, and we have been pounding the pavement on this ball club, and we really think they're ready to take off. Joe, who is it and what's going to happen?
Look, I think it's now 6-1 for the Brewers to win this division, and I like it. I do. I know the Cubs have hit the snot out of the baseball, and that's fun. Yeah. But when they stop hitting the snot out of the baseball, what does that rotation look like? Is Ben Brown and Jameson Taillon and those guys going to carry them? I don't think that's going to be the case. So Brandon Woodruff hopefully is going to be making his final rehab start this week. It's going to be on Tuesday. So far, things have been good. He's thrown 18 innings already in the minor leagues. You're looking ahead. Maybe you get him activated on the 16th, potentially. That's a date that they're talking about. So that would be great. We'd love to see that. Brandon Woodruff getting into that rotation would be terrific. They've also got Logan Henderson and Jacob Mizorowski and all these other kids at AAA level too. They've got a lot of pitching. And over the course of a season, the Cubs have learned that, you're going to need depth of pitching, and the Cubs don't have it. And they lost Justin Steele, and it exposed them immediately. So as good as they've been, and Tucker and Suzuki, they've been awesome. Like Pete Crow Armstrong, super fun. Eventually, the bats are going to slow down, and then you're going to have to pitch to win games. And I just don't think between the starting rotation, or let's be honest, Presley in that 9th inning has not been great this year either. There's problems here with the Cubs, and I just look at the Brewers being that team to win out over time. The Dodger rotation, let's keep an eye on this, because Gonsolin's going to have to step in now in this void. At some point, maybe get Clayton Kershaw back rejoining this rotation as well. Yeah. It's tough. Glasnow and Snell at the same time being on the IL is rough. I don't know if you still feel great about this win total that was so enormous for the Dodgers coming into the season. It was 104.5. Matt, when you look at what's happened with this rotation, do you think 104.5 is still feasible for the Dodgers?
That's a great question. Yeah, you have to. You have to, because Ohtani's coming back. Ohtani's going to pitch this season. I mean, that's a big deal. Joe?
Yeah. How that works out, too, is still puzzling to me, because you can't send him away for rehab starts, right? Like, on what, days off? That's kind of tricky. Like, there's a weird timetable. Is it all just simulated games? What does that look like? Because you can't take Ohtani's bat out of the lineup.
In the major leagues, he pitches 4 innings here, 3 innings there, and that's his rehab.
Maybe.
If anyone can do it, it's Shohei Ohtani.
That's true. Unprecedented. That's, I think, the only word we have for Shohei Ohtani at this stage. Mike Trout also, this is just, it's frustrating. And I don't want to end on this, but we have no choice, because it's one of the bigger stories in baseball right now. And I think when you're looking at Mike Trout, you have to ask yourself this question, is like, is it ever going to get back to that place it was? And we keep asking time and time again. He's only 33 years old. That's not old by any stretch of the means, but he's going on the IL. He's going to be out till May 12th at least right now with the knee issue here. Before that, there was another issue. It just feels like his body's betraying him, and that's just unfortunate, because he is such a bright, shining star in this game. His best years were wasted in a bad organization. And to think the Angels at one time, Matt, had Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani on the same roster.
I know. How many
playoff games between those two guys for the Angels?
I don't want to end on a bad note. So let me lift it up here. Let me put some positivity into it. Trade Mike Trout to a contender and let him DH. Let us at least have that. It would be good for baseball, be good karma for the organization, but also as wagerers, we would have a chance, just a chance, to get in on that action. Imagine Mike Trout on the Phillies as a DH. Imagine Mike Trout on the Yankees. You talk about lengthening the lineup? Put that DH spot down 7, 8, or 9. Put some protection behind him. That's my rant, Joe.
Look, it's supposed to be a short period of time. That's also positive. So hopefully he comes back, he gets right, and maybe you get a second opportunity to move on in fantasy. But look, I'm with you. Real baseball fans everywhere, we're rooting for Mike Trout to stay on the field. It's good for baseball. He's an exciting player. The hope was moving him to the corner spot in the outfield would help. Maybe Matt's right. Maybe at this point, DH is the best place for him. But that's a tough transition. Just ask Rafael Devers. Not every player transitions to that DH role very well, but that might be the best way to get the most Mike Trout we can in 2025. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For Matt, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday here and stay on SportsGrid for more great coverage all day of every game in Game 5. We'll be right back next week